Hello, my name is Tilly.
And my name is Connie.
And together we are the Mindful Mates.
And you are listening to
the Elevated Table Talks. So this is part 2 of the Bodies Through Time. If you haven't already watched part 1, this will make absolutely no sense whatsoever. So just go back an episode, which was last week's episode, either on YouTube, Spotify. Unfortunately, there's no video on YouTube. Sorry, guys. But just head over to that, listen to that, and if this is your, if this is your part 1, part 2, enjoy the rest of the video. We're just going to go straight into it. Cheers.
Cheers.
There was another change in the women's rights. So, the change in bodies drastically changed once again, because now the ideal body was really, really, really skinny. So it was like narrow hips, doll-faced, petite, like a little doll. Apologies. Like really, really, really skinny. So, do you know the model Twiggy?
No.
So there was a model called Twiggy.
Yeah.
And she was basically quite a drastic representation of the ideal body. She was a model who was extremely thin, but she was extremely successful. So this made people think, to order to be successful and popular like Twiggy, I need to be a Twiggy.
Yeah, yeah.
And
obviously a twig is tiny.
Yeah.
So
yeah. In the 1960s, women relied on dieting to get this look, and the well-known company Weight Watchers was founded in 1963.
Oh.
Yeah. Advertisements were on the way that were advised to keep slim. There was one that says, quote, "This is no shape for a girl," with a picture of a pear next to the...
So the pear shape.
Yeah, because it was a pear shaped before. I think in the 19th it was like a small up. I think that's what it was in the 1950s, like small and then rounder on the bottom area. But then these people were like, no. So in 1953, Woman's Own, one of the most popular women's magazines, Eileen Fowler, I think that's what that says, advertised readers how to lose weight. And not long after the rationing ended was when slimming culture was introduced. So these women had been starved, and now they're starving themselves.
Oh.
Yeah. By the mid-60s, dieting was at the centre of these popular magazines in the beauty advice. It had countless diets, workouts, constantly promoting slimness. The magazine told these women that men wouldn't be attracted to their wives if they had a bigger figure because they had, quote, let themselves go. So these magazines were telling these women, your husband won't find you attractive and you look a mess if you're not slim. Yeah. And these magazines also showed the link between body weight and reproductive life. It said, quote, "Not only are fat women worse risks as mothers, they also have more complications at childbirth and a higher degree of deaths among their children." So they scared these females into thinking that you have to be skinny
to have a healthy
child.
Offspring.
Yeah. Which, shock, is a change and a half from back in day when women were being told that they had to be fuller to be... People were thinking, now it's not just the way I look, it's my health of my children.
Yeah. So then that's a major influence, especially if you want to be... Obviously, everyone wants healthy children, don't they?
Mm-hmm. So they scared these women. And I think magazines at that time, they were like the most popular. Now it's like social media, but then it was magazines. And these magazines were just bombarded with...
Do you think it was almost like giving these women a sense of direction? Because I know social media definitely gives people a little bit of, direction, like in a way of, when you see online a video, like a tourist video of someone exploring a cave in like the far region of Thailand or Taiwan or whatever, and then you think, oh my god, I have to do that, like I need to do that.
It's like giving them like a community sort of thing, like to relate to,
sense.
because I
They're
guess
part of something.
if women have been like sort of pushed away for so many years, and now they feel like they have a place in the world, I guess they could look to these magazines as a sense of community and guide of... I think women probably, because they'd been so pushed away, they didn't know what to do with themselves. So these magazines were probably...
They just went with it. It was like a saviour for them. But actually it was just causing them more stress. Which is probably good, because they're probably losing weight. Yeah. It could go either way, couldn't it? Probably. If I'm stressed, I like to eat.
Stress eat.
What do you do when you're stressed? Do you like eating or not eating? Do you not think about it?
I don't know, a bit of both, I think. It depends what I'm stressed over.
Half the time it's stress of not having enough food. So then I go out and buy loads of food.
Okay, shall we go on to the 1970s?
Yeah.
Go on.
So women wanted to be equal to men. Yeah, they wanted to stop being sex objects. So it's gone from like sex symbols to sex objects. Yeah, because
Marilyn Monroe was the sex symbol. The sex icon.
They don't want to be a sex object or symbol or anything. The motherly curves were gone, so they don't want them motherly curves. I think in a way it would give them, if they had the motherly curves, it would put them into like a bracket. Do you know what I mean? Of royal domesticated. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to stay at home. You've probably had kids. Yeah. So they want to be free spirits, independent.
A bit like the flappers.
Tanned.
Oh, yeah, tanned.
Yeah. And obviously now they want to be tanned is a lot different from the Elizabethan era, because being tanned meant you haven't got a high status because you're outside doing the dirty jobs.
But I guess now, if you're outside and you're tanned, it's because you can afford to go on holidays and lounge around outside in the sun.
Yeah, but so we like to think that it's different. An even tan. But half the time, excuse my language, but it's a twat tan.
Define twat tan.
When you've got a tan that
you look like a twat.
You look like a twat. Just kidding. When you have a crop top on and you've got your hips out, for example, and then the crop top gives you that line at the back of like drumstick look. It's like white and pink. It's quite literally white and pink. It's quite funny.
So
disco. Woo! Disco style era was trending. So again, people are celebrating because of their free spirit. They don't want to be equal. They want to be equal to men. They don't want any sort of.
Was this the time of the hippies? It wasn't it?
Yes, peace and love. Yes.
Peace and love.
But you know when you said before that, what was it? Oh, the jazz.
Yeah.
And they were celebrating and with the music again. Do you think that's like we should have to do one about music over time as well, because that has a massive influence depending on what people are going through.
Yeah, because it was like the jazz era, so people were like
disco and people are trying to get
out dancing, partying,
feminism and stuff like that. I put on there. So one of the influences was the Olympic figure skater Dorothy Hales. She had a short brown bob, like sassy bob, and everyone sort of looked up to that for a hairstyle. Don't know why.
It's so similar to the flappers, isn't it? Because they had short hair.
And do you think as well? If it's the disco style era and I'm like going out all the time dancing, I don't want long hair sticking to my back.
Me either.
Do you know what I mean?
No, thank you.
And that Olympic skater, well, you get hot and sweaty when you're,
It's just more of a.
And it's just
what would you say? Like.
It is free spirited, I think.
Yeah, it's like what's that word when you? It's practical.
Yeah,
it's more practical.
It is.
So they were like, I'm not gonna define by these beauty standards. I'm going to do what's practical and what's good for me. So the 1980s, quote, the supermodel era.
Oh.
Yeah. So the 1980s was the era of the supermodels and the aerobics movement. I'll define a supermodel because I didn't really know what a supermodel was. I just used the word. A supermodel is a highly paid fashion model who is known worldwide. Supermodels became so popular in the 80s. They were in advertisements, films, TV shows. They earned millions and they were like bigger than any pop star or movie star. When before the icons were the movie stars, because we've said a few times like people look to this movie star or this icon, but this time the supermodels were the icons. There were 5 supermodels in particular. Mind if I say these names wrong. Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, and Tatjanja.
Wow.
So I can't say those words. But if you Google the 5 supermodels, it'll tell you. And they were known as the Big 5 because that's how popular and big they were. So all these women really looked up and were influenced and admired these supermodels. And what comes with a supermodel? Very, very tall, very long legs, small hips, incredibly beautiful, petite, and quite big boobs. These supermodels had quite big boobs.
That's definitely a sex icon.
Yeah. So that's what these women had to live up to. And also, the aerobics movement came out in the 80s. So Jane Fonda, who was an American actress, began releasing aerobic workout tapes. So you can now work out from home. And these tapes were so popular, and this got people moving and became obsessed with getting fit.
Ooh.
Like being quite athletic.
Yeah.
This meant that the woman's body was fit, toned, but it couldn't be too muscly. The women weren't allowed to be too muscly because then it wasn't attractive anymore. So they were small waists and big breasts. But because due to the pressure from these new workout movements, because if you couldn't work out from home with these tapes, then what's your excuse? There was a lot of pressure to maintain this certain weight and toned body. But because of supermodels and how slim and perfect, quote, they were, women struggled with eating disorders. And in 1980s, that was when eating disorders finally became like known into...
Like diagnosed?
Well, no, it was more no one really knew about it. There was a famous musician called Karen Carpenter, and she passed away from anorexia, and obviously her death is what caused, well, it brought attention to the problem. But just think of how many years women were dealing with eating disorders.
Starvation.
Yeah, and no one really knew about it, but...
There's no help.
No. And it's so shocking that the fluctuation in the weights... And still there was no help but then finally 1980s, which is only 30 years, that it became known and people could get help for it.
But we only think it's shocking because we've got loads of help now.
Yeah.
So 1983, the first ever Diet Coke commercial.
Do you want to know an interesting fact about Diet Coke? So there's obviously Diet Coke and Coke Zero. Diet Coke is advertised for females.
Yeah.
And Coke Zero, it's basically exactly the same, but
is.
it was just advertisements because diet is seen as like a more feminine thing. And even if you look at the writing, it's got like Diet Coke, fancy writing with like grey and then Coke Zero, it's... And
Coca-Cola needed to increase their profits and sales.
Yeah, so that's what they did.
They went for, a sectioned market.
Yeah. Go on, 1990s.
Okay, 1990s, girl power.
Girl power.
And sex positivity. So in 1995 there was a 90s intervention designed to encourage a higher quality work experience opportunity for girls. So it was Take Your Daughter to Work Day. So it was very, they've highlighted like girl, it wasn't like take your son to work, it was take your daughter to work day. So it's straight away giving women better like career prospects, do you know what I mean? Which was a sign of another movement. Everyone was starting to delay marriage and children, so there's another one. I think that applies a lot to now as well, because people starting to have kids a lot later on in life than younger. Back in the day it used to be as soon as you get your period it's like you are fertile, you're ready, aren't you? And as well, people used to be married off quite young, didn't they? So they could have kids
30.
and have children. And what, the youngest girl to get
married, wasn't she like 12?
And pregnant was like 5.
Oh, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I think search it. Youngest female child.
Oh, 5. What?
Yeah.
Got him. There's a larger age gap between me and my brother.
That is rape.
Yeah.
They don't know what sex is at 5.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
She was menstruating at the age of 8 months and was raped. Gave birth at 6 years.
Shocking.
She's still alive today, and her son was raised as a brother.
Anyway, that's the 1990s. So emphasis on slimness and large breasts.
Did you research anything about the heroin chic?
No.
So heroin chic was basically, so models were a big thing. So you know Kate Moss.
Yeah.
She was like huge.
Yeah.
And so women, their desired look was to look like they were a heroin addict. So the really skinny, rough, thin face. That it was heroin chic. That was the look of the 90s.
Wow.
How strange.
Imagine how many women died.
Yeah.
From heroin overdose.
Yeah. And because it was like Kurt Cobain and all that, they were all Amy Winehouse. So it was like popular to look like that.
So like, you know, when there was a lot of judgments about Amy Winehouse when she died and what she died of, but yet if you haven't lived in her day, then you wouldn't know what she's had to go through. So because there was the emphasis on slimness and large breasts, etc., there was a massive snowball effect into it, increasing diet pills, crash diets, pretty much everything like that. And that's again eating disorders in young women. Because
like, even if you look back at like Friends, the TV show, they were all really slim. Yeah. And then there was Pamela Anderson. She had big. Down. What, Friends?
Okay, so 1994, the first episode of Friends, and Jennifer Aniston was one of like the sort of influence, like an ideal sort of woman. Can't even say it. Was it woman or women?
Woman.
A woman figure.
Woman.
So yeah, slim, sort of like big bust, sort of. And so the first episode of Friends, 1994, obviously she was in that along with everyone else. And I mean, I say everyone watched that.
But it was very
Friends.
What?
Because I've just never got into it.
No, it was very popular. Like they got paid. It's like the Big Bang Theory of today.
Yeah.
Or
So you can imagine if everyone's watching Friends, then they're going to be thinking, because a lot of people a lot of people say, oh, you're like so and so, or you're like so and so. Do you know what I mean? And you're constantly looking at their body types and their characters. And it's.
And like Rachel from Friends, she was like, her character was sort of, like all the boys wanted her. She was like I think.
And what's the reason behind that? Because she's of a body type, slim.
Yeah, slim, beautiful.
Plastic surgery blossomed.
Oh yes.
Because everyone needed them bigger boobs.
Bigger boobs. Pamela, is it Pamela? No, it's not. It's Dolly Parton.
Yeah, big boobs.
She had huge tatters.
Yeah. I did make a link to ancient Greece because the 1990s it was attractive to have sucked in cheeks and like very pouty face, and then in ancient Greece it was very round face.
Oh yeah.
So and that wasn't a problem.
Yeah, the sucked in because that goes with the heroin chic. Because when you take heroin, your face gets sunken in, and it's the whole model look because models
like
have got
contour,
cheekbones.
Yeah. So other influences: Princess Diana.
Was she slim?
Yeah. So yes, she was very slim, and I mean her face was plastered everywhere. Everyone loved her. Literally, the nation was like obsessed with her, and her style and fashion and everything behind that. If you think of the fashion and the designer labels that she wore, okay, and the clothes that were made for her, and then think of people want the same clothes or similar clothes, whether you was wealthy or not, whether you could afford them designers and them brands. What size did them designers start at? And I'm guessing it was like a size 2 or 4, whatever.
4,
So you had to be slimmer to fit into the clothes if you wanted to look like Princess Diana.
Because there was in America, it's size 0.
Yeah.
That's like a size 6 here, and like size 0. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Size 0. I think it's just emphasis is on this person literally has nothing to them. They're a size 0. So you want to be a 0 because that means you've got no weight.
Yeah. But another segue. You know when we're looking at for like facial products or cosmetic products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want any sort of what's the word, like SLS and in my shampoos and any sort of chemicals or animal derivatives and stuff like that. And when you see on labels, it's got it's completely like pure, it's like 0%, blah de blah. How do they put it? Like it's all natural. It's very like you can list off the ingredients that are inside it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then you're looking at 0%, like 0% size, 0 size, it's size 0.
It's like a positive, isn't it?
It is a positive because I look for that, even though it's not clothes. I'll look for 0. Like if I'm in a shop and there's this like, I don't know, whatever, cleaning product.
You look for the 0
and
amount
it's 0. I'm thinking, and I'll look at the back of it and I'm thinking, there's not much stuff in it. And I'm like, yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a bit of a...
Segway. Okay, so...
And pear-shaped was very offensive.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How can you be offended by a body? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so to the 2000s, I remember this. 2000s, because I'm a part of the 2000s. So in the 2000s, fitness was back in the media. And diet culture was still there. And diet culture was literally everywhere. It was in films, magazines, TV shows, and now pop stars were the female body ideals. So females would look up to pop stars like Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears. Oh, baby, baby. Do you know that one? And our screens were filled with slim tummies, slim overall bodies, visible abs, flat stomach, big breasts, tanned, and all the women were like airbrushed. So because the fashion, I don't know if you remember, but it was like low-waisted jeans, crop top.
Do you remember them belts that were like a chain?
Oh gosh, yeah. So
and the lower back tattoos.
Low back tattoos. So obviously, if women were showing their stomachs, they wanted them to be, they had to be slim, they had to be toned, abs, so they could be deemed beautiful. But even now, some women are like, oh, fat people can't wear a crop top. And I'm like, what? And maybe that's where it stems from, like back in day. So, and any body type that didn't live up to this slim, flat body were deemed fat. So the media played a huge part in this, and females, especially like big stars, they were ridiculed by the press if they didn't look a certain way. So, for example, Clueless star. Have you ever watched Clueless? It's
the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main girl in that, Alicia Silverstone, she was shamed for being fat in the press constantly when she literally maintained a healthy, quote, normal
She was fat
body.
Being filmed?
Yeah, like that was her considered fat. And then fat figures on screen were used for comedic value. They were never the main character. They were always the fat friend, or they were the undesirable character. So, for example, Monica in Friends. So she's slim, but she used to do flashbacks of when she was fat, and she used to wear like a fat suit. And it was always for comedy or to say, oh, Monica used to be ugly and stuff like that. So, like, women, if they did not live up to these standards, they would fat. It was so much fat shaming. But also, if you were too skinny, so like Paris Hilton, Victoria Beckham, no, you couldn't be too skinny either. Too skinny wasn't allowed. And they were also put down and shamed
because they were too slim.
Too slim. You couldn't be too slim. But then, towards the end of the 2000s, things started to change. Tyra Banks, TV personnel, she was papped in a swimsuit, just enjoying herself on holiday, and she got fat shamed in every single tabloid because she wasn't like slim. She was called Tyra Banks, American's Next Top Waddle, and then she went on stage and she gave this speech, and I'm gonna play you this speech because it's fucking amazing. Okay, so
the bottom line is that people are used to seeing me looking like this and like this and all that, and everyone seems to be pretty okay with that. But for some reason, people have a serious problem when I look like that. All right, when I look like that. But luckily, I'm strong enough and I have a good support system. I mean, I love my mama. She has helped me to be a strong woman so I can overcome these kind of attacks. But if I had lower self-esteem, I would probably be starving myself right now. But that's exactly what is happening to other women all over this country. So I have something to say. To all of you that have something nasty to say about me or other women that are built like me, women that sometimes or all the time look like this, women whose names you know, women whose names you don't, women who've been picked on, women whose husbands put them down, women at work or girls in school. I have one thing to say to you. Kiss my fat ass.
how good is that?
That's well good.
So, like, after that, that's when things began to change. And even at the end, there was a lady called Lizzie Miller, and she had a picture of herself, her naked self, obviously body parts covered up, published in a magazine, letting her not flat tummy out. She was stretch marked everywhere, and she was looking happy and carefree. And then this began the movement of people accepting their insecurities.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That speech is just because it would have taken a lot in those days for
to stand up as well.
Yeah, because the press was horrible. Yeah, and that was the mainstream media then, wasn't it? Like the press.
And do you think the rules have changed with the press? I know they still say things, but they say it in a different way, don't they?
Yeah, maybe there has been like laws put in place for. They still like it now. Like, Katie Price, she gets so much hate for everything she does. Yeah. Like, and then there's like constantly, what's her name?
I think it's because she's very it's ever since from Peter Andre. Well, actually, she made Peter Andre famous.
Did she?
Apparently, yeah.
They were
they're both famous, but I mean, she bumped him up a bit. Like, there was a lot more following after when they were together because everyone sort of knew him then because she was always in the media. She still is. But, Yeah, sorry, I don't know where that was going. So I thought.
Yeah. So and even I'm not too sure of her name. That Meghan Markle, she gets ridiculed like.
Who's that?
The prince's wife, Meghan Markle.
Okay.
Like, so I don't think there is any limitations because she gets put down like no one's business.
Harry, Prince Harry.
Yeah.
She's dark hair, isn't she?
Yeah.
But she wasn't part of. Do you know how Kate was like went to a prestigious school?
Yeah, well, no, that's why she gets ridiculed.
Yeah, because she wasn't.
Because she's not.
But Harry's never really been.
No, he's an open. He's a free
in the
spirit.
box, has he? So.
But that's for another day. And then 2010s. Do you want? So the 2010s is when the still very famous Kardashians became huge with Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which is a TV show. How would you say what it is? It's a reality show. There we go. And they are one of the most famous people in the mainstream media. And the body ideal completely shifted from the 2000s, and then along with Nicki Minaj and J-Lo.
Oh yeah, Nicki Minaj.
Yeah. So these women, they were still thin, but they had curves in quote all the right places. So they have tiny waists, big breasts,
massive booty,
big fat ass. And then the main focus was having a big bum in the 2010s.
And then it was like, are you a like men were like not
are
giving a choice,
you a
like
bums or a bum or a
boob?
A boob or a bum girl?
It.
Yeah, like which one do you like? And that was actually a thing.
Yeah.
And most men still to this day say bum because big breasts aren't.
It used to be such a mad thing, wasn't it? Like, oh, big boobs this, big boobs that. Even in old films that you watch, and it's all about
like the boobs. Yeah.
But now it's all bums.
Yeah. For example, Kim Kardashian, quote, broke the internet with her paper magazine picture. Do you know the one where she's holding the champagne? And she's got a bum out.
Black, skin tight
leather thing. Yeah. And then Nicki Minaj, in all of her songs, she'd be singing about having if you got buns, hun.
Yeah.
My anaconda don't. My anaconda. This one for the butt. Yeah. So all her songs would be showing off and singing about her bum.
Do you remember Meghan Trainor when she got insulted when she did that?
It's all about that bass. About that
because she was big.
Yeah.
She was big.
Yeah. She wasn't. She didn't have it all in the right places.
Yeah.
She was just big.
So everyone hated on that.
Yeah. So social media, this obviously played a huge part in the influence of women. All the females looked up to the women in social media, and most social media stars, so like all the big influence, were supporting the big booty gains movement. So they'd be constantly posting pictures,
and then
posing,
exercise programs.
And really, because you had to exercise to get the big bum. That was all it was is squat. And the girls would constantly pose in ways which was uncomfortable just to make a skinny waist and big bum. Yeah. But most online media outlets didn't show the same as not online media. So, like, the media online was completely different from offline media. So, like, the traditional films, magazines, they still showed, like, a slimmer figure without the bum and the big booties, titties. But, yeah, so women didn't look... Some women still didn't want the big bum. They still looked at the slimmer models and, And according to 2011 article in the Daily Mail, quote, a survey of female students aged 18 to 65 at British unis found that 1 in 3 would be willing to die younger in exchange for an ideal figure of the likes of Kelly Brook and Scarlett Johansson. Yeah.
Wow.
So females were willing to.
And what about like the bum implants as well?
Oh, I know,
That was a
because
thing?
the bum implants. Because I think
You
Nicki
can die
Minaj
from
has
that.
bum implants,
Yeah.
doesn't she? Yeah, but then it was still too conflicting. There was like in Hollywood you'd be slim, but then in like social media you'd be slim thick.
Yeah.
That was the quote: "Slim thick." Are you slim thick? And I remember because I've got really skinny legs, I was so self-conscious, and my sister used to wrap fish oil around her legs to try and, because you can put weight on that way, to make her legs bigger, because we were really put down for having small legs, because it was, are you thick or not? But during the mid 2010s, the movement of body positivity started to take over, and women all over became more accepting and remained positive about their more natural looking bodies that didn't require strict workouts and diets and plastic surgery, and they just lived comfortably in, an average body. Women's health magazines announced that it would no longer print phrases like, quote, bikini bodies or, quote, drop 2 sizes today on its cover. But obviously body positivity isn't about, quote, letting yourself go or sitting on the couch or eating junk food and not caring about your health. It's focusing on not conforming to the ideals of society's beauty. And so the word fat became less of an insult, and because obviously when people say fat, they mean it as
literally fat.
No.
You mean when people calling you fat?
Yeah, so if someone says you're fat, you automatically, there's like a negative thing around it, and people wanted to take away from this negative, because it's a fact. If you're fat, you are fat. You have body fat on you.
Yeah.
They wanted to take all the nastiness away from this word, because it's just a word, and women started to embrace being fat, and fatness shouldn't be like. So when I read this somewhere, when fat women go to the doctors, they always blame it on the weight. They're like, it's your weight. Like, even if there couldn't be another problem, they automatically say it's because of your weight. You need to lose weight.
Do you remember Little Mix and what's her name?
Jessie.
There was one with the big curly hair.
Yeah.
And she was fat shamed.
Oh my god.
That's awful. Absolutely
hugely.
Awful.
Yeah. But she wasn't fat. Well, she had fat on her, but she wasn't.
Just curvy.
Yeah,
she was just
curvy.
a different shape to other people. Like, no one can be the same shape.
Yeah, she wasn't the ideal beauty. But obviously now social media, there was Facetune, Bodytune, and I think sometimes younger people especially get so sucked into thinking that these women look this way, when sometimes social media is someone's job and they get paid to look that way, and sometimes it's not real, and they literally, their whole business is their body, so they're constantly working out, it's not attainable for some people. But I think what people should do is we have a choice what to follow, and so you have a choice on social media of who to follow, and if you have low self-esteem and you're following these people who, like Kylie Jenner and all the models who have these, one, probably not real bodies, two, unattainable for the lifestyle the average Joe lives, and don't follow them. No,
because it's not going to benefit you at all.
No, but I think people, and Love Island as well, we were there's these 12 people on Love Island who are unreally beautiful, and on that programme it's about love, so people are thinking, I
look that way, I'm going to find
love. Yeah, and I won't find love unless I look like them. and it's ridiculous.
And can you imagine? They constantly have to do the hair and makeup. They constantly have to having to shave. That's another topic as well.
Yeah.
But they constantly have to like keep up on everything. And have you seen the bikinis that they wear?
Yeah.
You'd have to have like a full Hollywood wax for that.
And I've read and listened to podcasts where people who are on these shows have to go on mad diets that they can't attain afterwards.
Yeah.
And when they come out and they stop doing these diets, that their body changes, and they're so aware of people commenting constantly on their photos. Oh, you've put on weight. But I think what people need to do now, we have a chance to. There's an unfollow button. There's a mute button. Yeah. There's a delete your social media button.
Chuck your phone in the bin
button. So people just need to follow people that inspire them, or people that have similar body types. So there's 3 that are like. So there's one called the Body Posy Panda. There's a girl called Jess Greenash. I think she used to be the Crude Vegan, but I don't think that's her name anymore. And she's not about body positivity, but body acceptance.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
It's not like it's sort of like
not what body shape is meant like is viewed as positive,
or it's like I don't love my body, but I accept it.
Yeah.
And I'll work on it.
Yeah.
And then Carrie Holt Fletcher too. She's like a musical theatre star, and all the roles she has previously, they've all been like skinny females.
Yeah.
And she was absolutely ridiculed because people are like, oh no, you need to be slim to play this role. And she's like, listen, I can do it. I've got the part. What do you want? Like the people who wrote this script have given me the part.
Yeah.
How can you say I can't have it? Yeah.
What would you change as well?
Yeah. So I think I wrote here, in a way, nowadays there's the most pressure there's ever been, but then at the same time there's the least amount of pressure there's ever been. Because
it's all about accepting your body and everything, but behind them doors, actually everyone is still thinking, I've got to be skinny, I've put weight on, blah, blah.
The body positivity, they've got to be like, I love my body, and if they don't, they feel pressure for not loving their body. And because we're consuming the most media we've ever consumed, so obviously we were seeing the most different bodies. But then also we're seeing the most different ones. But then we have to feel
and we're
like
seeing the ones that are sponsored.
Yeah.
So that makes a massive difference as well, because if they're sponsored, then someone's opinion is influenced whether they should look like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether they're good enough to advertise or be an ambassador to something.
Yeah.
Because they think it's going to have a big influence on someone else, like us.
So it's hard because it's like there's so much influence, yet you have the power and the choice to not be influenced by it.
Yeah.
You can just turn it off.
Yeah.
What are your predictions for the future of female bodies?
2030.
2020, because right now this year's not going off to a good start, is it? What are your predictions?
I think I'd like to say that everyone's just going to be completely mixed on it, and like mixed body types, that there's not going to be a absolute sort of, there's going to be more bigger people in magazines, in the news, not in the news, do you know what I mean,
in like the films and
do you know when they say when there's plus size models and that's becoming a thing, and you see them in like magazines and online and stuff like that.
But it shouldn't be its own category.
I mean like it wouldn't be advertised as plus size.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be in its own category.
It's just going to be
a model.
Yeah.
Or TV shows, you wouldn't have like the fat character. It'd just be, because even now there's still their whole sort of character type is around being bigger. And they're like, oh, they have that issue to work through, and I'm like, just make it, like, do you know what I mean?
They've made it an issue. It's not an issue.
Yeah, and I think I just, I agree. I hope like anybody is accepted.
And I hear all the time as well that I hear like just off word of mouth that if someone's bigger and they're trying to get pregnant, the doctors advise them they need to lose weight in order to get pregnant because they're too big. So you used to have like the curvy women, big, like a, you know, there's a belly but it's not like really big, but people that are actually classed as like morbidly obese and obese, they need to lose weight in order to get pregnant, and I think that's a lot of pressure as well. I don't know whether it is a genuine fact. It does help if you lose weight, but it's because some people, it has affected the health.
It's like when we were saying
too big for children
earlier about when bigger people go to the doctors and they're like, yeah, you need to lose weight. Like before even looking at them, they just assume it's due to their weight. That needs to stop. I think
from what I've heard, it's the more fat you carry. So if you're morbidly obese, for example, there's more strain in your heart because there's more. Your heart's got to pump literally twice as fast to pump that blood around your body. So if you're carrying a child as well, and you're trying to pump the blood to their body, their growing body, then it's too much pressure, and either could have a heart attack.
I think you just need to work out and. Like Lizzo, do you know Lizzo?
No.
I do my hair, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling? Like, she's a bigger girl. She's not like a slim, thick girl. She's a bigger girl. Yeah. And I always see on her Instagram, she's always like working out and eating good foods. You just need balance. And sometimes people do have slow metabolisms. And sometimes people do have fast metabolisms.
And there's so many other factors that in your life that would cause you to put on or lose weight.
Yeah, stress.
You can't blame yourself for that.
There's thyroid issues.
That's a big one as well.
Yeah. So I don't know where we're going to go, but I hope we don't have to wear corsets again.
Definitely not. And if you've got a waist slimming band or weight...
just think about why you're wearing it. Yeah. Think about why you're wearing it, and is it for you or is it for the ideal beauties of the world? Yeah. I find myself sometimes on the social meds scrolling and I'm like, oh, but I don't look like this. And then I'm like, wait. And then I see someone with a similar body type to me and I'm like, she's beaut. What? Tilly, chill the fuck out. But then I see people who have like the opposite body type and they're insecure and I'm like, well, it's something more deep. Like, it's not because of that. If they had my body, they wouldn't be happy because I'm not happy. And if I had their body, I probably wouldn't be happy because then I'd be finding faults in that.
Yeah. So no matter what, it's always the human mind. It's like it's always trying to be better.
Yeah.
It links to survival. You've always got to be this literally like survival of the fittest.
Yeah. I think we need to. I like the body acceptance.
Yeah.
Like body love, it's a bit too much pressure, but just accept how you are now. Yeah. And if you want to change something, change it because you sometimes have the ability, like you can work it out, but do it in a healthy way and make sure it's for you and not for anyone else.
Yeah. And when we say healthy, that could mean completely different for anyone, for everyone, because you just got to follow what your body wants. And if you're doing something or you're cutting out some sugars or fats and then all of a sudden your body doesn't feel right, listen to it, and because perhaps you've cut out too much, and just persevere because it's your body. And even if you go to the doctors doesn't know your body. You're the only one that knows you. So literally follow your gut.
Follow that gut.
No matter how many layers it's surrounded by.
That was #deep. Okay, guys. So this has been a very long podcast, and there's still some more. So we really hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed filming this. I enjoyed listening to stuff from you.
Oh, I've found it interesting as well.
I've learnt so much.
And I want to leave them with a thought as well. So, a bit of research for everyone. Have a look how the Barbie doll has changed over the years.
Oh, okay.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah,
to
because
see.
that's like you get the Barbie
Yeah.
doll from
And
a
we forget about it if we don't have kids.
yeah
Because
from a female from a young
Yeah.
age, especially
Yeah.
females. Females are like it's forced upon.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone,
And
go
tell us
do
what you
that.
think.
Yeah. So, if you enjoyed the podcast, like, share, subscribe, share
The love.
the love. And we hope you have an amazing day. And
Peace and love out.
cheers.
70s love.
Woo! 7 is love. Peace, baby.